the only time I'm in charge. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Brookline School Board on March 25th, 2026. This is our reorganization meeting. And so I'd like to start by asking if there are any nominations for chair of the Brookline School Board.
I will nominate Allison.
Is there a second? Okay. All right, so we have Allison nominated us for chair. I'm going to ask if there are any other nominations. Okay.
It's you, by default.
So, would you like to speak to the nomination?
I've spent the last year kind of getting my hands around the role, so I appreciate the opportunity to kind of continue it and grow it and continue to serve. So thank you, guys.
We're going to officially vote, though.
Yes.
So, all those in favor of having
I think Lynn
Allison?
has a
I
question.
just have a question about the role of the chair,
Yeah.
if that's okay. So, just because I'm learning the process and, at what point, so I've had some questions about dissemination of information, like to the rest of the board, and I literally just don't know what the process is. So, my understanding of chair would be like a liaison. Is that, I mean, you're the main point of contact between, Gina, superintendent, and staff, and the rest of the board, right? So like, we're not all bothering Gina with questions, and Gina's not trying to contact all of us. So, sometimes a lot of stuff came up in the last 2 months, right? As far as like a lot of issues, and it's often only discussed here, but I've have trouble preparing for some of it prior to the meeting because, we get the agenda a few days before or whatever. Is it allowed for, if you're talking to Allison or the chair, any chair, for that information to be further disseminated to the board? For example, like the boiler, right, that came down, right, or the academic calendar, I know there's some discussion, or the budget not passing. I'm sure there were discussions between the two of you, or you've had some information. Is that only to be discussed at the meetings, or can it be passed down?
It's a good question.
It's a tricky question.
Yeah, okay.
So, the board chair communicates with the superintendent to do agenda setting. Some of that is because other questions or requests or whatever have come up, and so that's a collaborative process. We meet monthly, all the chairs, and I meet, and I update everyone on sort of high level what's going on, things that are bubbling up. Sometimes that's helpful for the chair so they can talk to each other. That there's a possibility for there to be some notes that are shared. And if that's the case, the chair can then disseminate that to the rest of the board, but we don't always have notes. Regarding some of the other, so the budget was voted down, and we have a default budget. It is my responsibility to present to you budget cuts. So I actually have not had a conversation with the chair about it.
Sure.
But that's so I'm coming up with a list. If there's disagreement or questions or whatever, that's what this meeting is for. So the budget is a bottom line budget. They gave us a number. We could essentially spend it however we want. Within reason.
No, I understand that, yeah,
but
of
anyway, so
course.
this is the opportunity for you to say, I disagree with this, but I want you to do this instead. At the end of the day, we only have so much money. In terms of other issues bubbling up, I immediately, notify the chair of situations like there's a fire at RMMS.
Right.
This case was actually reversed just due to the timing of the fire and the meeting, the town
I know,
meeting.
it was very convenient for all of us.
Yeah, so everyone
actually.
sort of heard the information, but typically what would happen is, so I got the information, I immediately came down here. On my drive to RMMS, Allison reached out because everyone was hearing the information at the same time. Typically, I would say, hey, Allison, this is what's going on, here's the update.
Yeah.
Share that with the rest of the board.
Right, and she did share that, yeah, absolutely. I just
So-
don't know where the line is of what's to be held to chest versus, because some of the information, right, it's very limited in scope of what you see. I don't have a lot of time necessarily to prepare, and when we're talking about it, it's only 10, 15 minutes or whatever. I don't know if I can process all the information in that 15 minutes to come up with the appropriate questions or whatever,
If
you know.
if it helps, I don't have much more insight.
Sure.
And that's kind of what she's saying is like, the chairs meeting is informational. There have been a few times I've passed stuff forward, but typically it's been stuff that we've already talked about, and she's more giving it to Hollis and the co-op so that they're aware. And then the stuff that's going on with them, I don't pass down because you guys don't. It's not. There's nothing like crazy that necessarily needs to be shared. But yeah, there hasn't really. That's why, like, I know you reach out sometimes, and I'm like, we'll discuss it next week. We'll discuss it next week because, like, I don't even sometimes know either.
That's
So I'm-
fine. Yeah, I
I'm
just
with
don't
you.
know where that line is, you know, or what is the test?
I guess-
suppose. I guess
Yeah.
where is that, like, there must be like some type of like standard, you know, standard
Yeah,
line of
so,
like, we don't share this information. We do
Typically, you don't have a lot of information.
Okay,
Yeah,
the,
I mean,
the
that
stand-
kind of-
the standard is there is no information.
No, and then, but when an agenda comes out, so legally, the agenda needs to be posted 48 hours ahead of time. We like to post it on Thursday for our Wednesday meeting. Sometimes some of the supporting documentation isn't quite ready,
Yeah.
and so we will post it as soon as it is available. None of the supporting information actually is required to be there, but we feel like it just makes a whole
course it
lot more
helps,
sense
yeah.
for transparency, et cetera.
Yeah.
At any point, if you see the agenda and either there is documentation or there's not, and you have a question, you can certainly reach out
Sure.
to the chair who might not have the information or to me. And I might not be able to give you all the information, but I might say, focus on this, or the reason you're saying this is for this
Okay.
this is what caused that to be.
And it's not at all a knock. I just don't know.
Sure.
Where
No,
the,
no,
you know,
and
I just,
I used to feel, I think maybe how you did with like just chair not sharing stuff. Chair doesn't usually always know, and I've discovered that in this year too. Of like, it really isn't there's more work with it, but it's not like deeper knowledge prior in advance, and yeah, it's sometimes you feel like you're in the gray space. It's just,
yeah, no,
I get it. I'm there with you sometimes too.
I don't want to speak for you, Lynn, but are you thinking it could also be like a culture of how we operate and how we work, or is it more just kind of like specific questions that you have? Just because I think we're really lucky that we're, I think, all here and continuing, and so I think this would be, not to derail, but I think this might be a great time, maybe later in the agenda to kind of talk about how, we're moving forward because we all know each other.
Yeah.
Or is it really just?
No, I mean, I think obviously to be a successful board meeting is like super important, right? And just like any relationship of any sort, right? Communication is like number one, and having good information and keeping those lines of communication open. I don't want to say should be a policy in this setting, but I do think having, like you said, having the culture of like dissemination of information and asking questions and getting, I like to be educated in, there's a lot of new stuff for me even, right? And like just as a person, I'm learning a lot about education. I think it's really great. It's been a great experience so far, honestly. And, just trying to understand the roles necessarily and would love to like continue, I don't know if anyone else has felt this way, but like I just feel like sometimes I'm in the dark sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it could be just there is no information and that's fine, and I'm not trying, I just want what that process is to make sure things do get disseminated if there is information.
Sure. Along those lines, not exactly directly answering your request, but Dawn, our recording secretary, has helped me develop which we don't really need this year, new board member orientation packet.
Great.
And so it's, 40 to 50 pages of information. So how about I disseminate it to everyone for feedback, but also it does a lot of defining roles and identifying where you can find information. Because
I love
for
that.
me, I do these meetings 3 times a month, X
It's
number
all
of
half
years.
for you,
And,
yeah.
and so it just makes sense, but everything is very cyclical, and once, you finish one cycle, and so now this is your first, like, second time around, but it still seems brand new because you haven't done it in 12 months, because every board meeting is very different.
Right.
And it's just based on the time of year, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's wonderful to have. I mean, there was certainly a lot of confusion when I first came onto the board. And just about, even just like, you did a great job with the committees, right? You know, I was like, they were like, my first meeting was this meeting, and it was like, what committee do you want to be on? And I was like, I don't know what any of these are.
Yeah.
You know, and so it just, and like what the roles of the chair, vice chair, secretary, whatever, you know, all those things, and where to access certain information. Like we did that org chart, and I was
Yep.
like, I don't know where to find that, you know? And there's just, I think
Sure.
that's a wonderful thing to have that resource. Because at some point, one of us will leave the board, right? Or
Yeah.
all of us at some point, you know, will leave the board. And so to pass that, like, the growth of information, you know, only improves the board as a whole, right? And that is great for the community, it's great for the students, it's great for the schools, it's great for the staff, you know, it's like the building upon of information, right? So, anyway.
All right.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, that was a tangent to go off on the chair, but I was just curious on
Sure.
how that went. So.
Shall
Anyway,
we?
we can vote now.
Yeah, shall we vote? Oh, sorry. All those in favor?
To say it's you.
I forgot. 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now it's your job.
Now it's my job. And I gotta figure out, where did we just leave
Just
off?
number
There we
2.
go, number 2.
Nomination of
All
vice chair.
right, so I'm gonna be looking for nominations of vice chair. Do I have any nominations?
I would like to nominate myself.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Excellent,
Can I
Ms.
second?
Johanna.
I think you're gonna
Is
also-
there, are there any other nominations for vice chair?
Yes, I would like to nominate Tracy.
Is there a second?
I'll second her as well. Second, is you that? Yeah.
No, you can do it.
You can do it. Okay, so why don't we start, Johanna, do you want to speak to your
Yeah, so
interest?
I am putting myself forward because I think I'm curious about learning more about like how to run the meetings and how to like kind of be more involved in the leadership piece of it. I feel like I've stepped up a lot this past year in terms of like running negotiations and attending with spec, taking over that and kind of handling that. So I would like to give it a try for a year. Tracy's done an amazing job. Like me stepping forward is nothing against like the job that she's done at all. I just would like to try it and kind of, we've had, you know, Tracy's been in that role for 2 years, so I'd be curious to kind of see what it feels like to have a little bit of a change.
So, Lynn, you seconded, right?
Sure.
Do you want to speak to your second?
Um,
You put you on the spot. Just curious. You don't have to. Just
You know,
open it.
I was interested. I knew that they both had interest in you know, stepping up to this position, and I certainly think there's strengths for both of them. And Johanna's very smart, and she always has some great insights. So I think, you know, she'd do a great job. And I think it's early before I speak for her, I guess. So I will continue.
Does anybody else want to say anything for? So I will say in the past year, the work that she did leading the contract negotiations, she and I partnered a lot in prepping for deliberative session and the work that she's done on policy. And I know your interest in moving into a chair role at some point. If you ever have that opportunity, I think it's a good chance. You have stepped up in a lot of ways that I think have been incredibly helpful to me too. I've been able to kind of bounce some things off you as we've kind of moved through either policy or spec, which was incredibly helpful. So I think it would be, you know, either background education as well. I think not a bad space for you to sit in. Okay, so Heather, do you want to speak to your nomination for Tracy?
Do we want to let her speak first?
Or Tracy, or I guess Tracy, are you interested? I guess fair. I guess that's fair. Like, yeah, Tracy, are
I
you?
wasn't gonna speak to I
Like,
just didn't know she was
Yeah,
even.
like Johanna nominated herself, so I didn't ask if she was even wanting to take it. So Tracy, what about
I
you?
mean, I don't mind speaking if that's the way it
It
goes.
doesn't matter either
Okay.
or. We're a flexible board.
Okay, I will. I have been in the role for 2 years. When I first came in, we had a different chair.
and then, you know, we transitioned to Allison. It would be really nice, I think, if we had that continuity and continued. I would like to grow in the role, and find my own footing. I've taken on, I think, a different avenue in terms of the work that I've been interested in, where it's more facilities and physical things. Also, too, looking at board management and, like I said, culture. I think we have a great opportunity to really be impactful and a force for education and especially for this town. And so, you know, really would like to get into my role more and be offered those opportunities to do so.
Does anybody else want to speak supportive?
Yeah, so, you know, Tracy reached out and said that she was interested in continuing her position. So I told her I would support that. I think that Tracy's done an excellent job. You know, I did not know Tracy, I didn't know anyone on this board before, and definitely found that she has been, you know, very helpful in bringing me up to speed in terms of how the board works. And, you know, I see her as definitely a leader on this board as a whole. And I think that, you know, I guess to Tracy's point, it'd be good to have that continuity. So.
Awesome.
I guess
Is-
I will speak as well.
Sure.
Tracy's done a wonderful job, I think, in her position and her role up to this point. She has reached out many times throughout the year to like check on myself. I don't know in particular she's checked on Heather, but as we are new board members and seeing how we are adjusting and asking, you know, how can we improve, what else can we do, you know, and providing some suggestions and solutions. You know, I think she is a good balance with Allison, and I think you guys both have really distinct strengths, and that they balance each other really well. Yeah, so.
Awesome. Right. Was that? Okay. We can, like, privately.
I don't think you can.
Okay.
I just want to say that I think Heather may have misspoken. I didn't reach out to ask anyone to nominate
sorry, I asked you if you wanted to
or
continue
to
to run.
electioneer or anything. I just want to make that point clear. I reached out to just let everyone know that this reorganization meeting was happening because they were here last year, but. It wasn't electioneering. It wasn't to ask anyone for a nomination.
Okay.
So, FYI.
Yeah,
Yeah,
understood.
that's fair. I apologize.
No,
No,
I
you're
just-
fine. You're fine.
I want
Specifically
to.
asked because I hadn't heard from, I mean.
You're fine.
I had
It's-
asked others, but not,
Yep.
yeah, and I
No,
had asked her
no
too.
worries. Okay, so I think, because we've got two, there's five, instead of like voting for one and yays or nays and voting for others, yays and nays, why don't we just go down the line if you guys want to, if you want me to start, we can. I think we just vote by name and we can just say, we can just kind of, would that work for you guys if we just say either Johanna or Tracy and we'll do it that way? Does that work? Heather, do you want to start? Are you comfortable? Would you like me to start? It doesn't matter.
Tracy.
Okay.
I guess myself.
Lynn
Tracy.
Johanna.
and Johanna.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is Tracy for vice chair then. Okay. All right, so next we need a secretary. So, do we have any nominations for secretary?
This is such a coveted
This is
position.
such a coveted position.
Honestly, so I can speak to this really quickly. I was the secretary this year. This is actually a really good way to kind of put your foot in a little bit. Like if you are interested in kind of taking on more roles or like more leadership roles eventually, it's kind of very like I'm not going to say low effort because it's very important, but it isn't something that requires like time. The time I think of like the chair. So I would not like to actually not run again because I would like someone else to step in and experience it. So I think that that's so either Heather or Lynn, if you guys are willing.
I don't mind to do it, I just don't know what.
We help.
But we'll
You
help.
know, and so I don't mind if someone can maybe take me under for
Yeah, I'm happy to help you out with that. Yeah,
and
of
just
course.
like tell
Yeah.
me what, I have no idea what that entails.
I've done it too. It's not.
I'm sure it's fine, I just
Taxing.
don't wanna do a bad job, so.
Okay,
Oh, you're not
so,
gonna know. Listen, I was emailing Dawn literally like every day, being like,
okay.
I don't know what to do.
So in that case, I will nominate Lynn for secretary. Is there a
I will
second?
second.
Unless you wanted to, Heather.
I'll let you take it.
Yeah.
I've got another board too, so.
I'll nominate Heather. No,
I've already got a position in there too.
I had a second for that? Was that Johanna?
Yes, that was
Yes,
me.
okay, all in favor of Lynn for secretary?
Oh, then we
Okay,
can vote, I guess,
Perfect.
yeah.
So that is Lynn for secretary. All right. Next, we need signers of the manifest. I can't remember, who were our two last year? Was it Lynn and Heather last year? Is there,
And we had an alternate as well.
yes, is there is there anybody who would like to continue on without me just
I'll just
saying?
keep it.
You'll keep it, Heather? Lynn, would you like to
That's
keep that or
fine,
no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can remain the alternate. I
And
just don't have time.
perfect. All right. So Heather and Lynn will be signers of the manifest. Johanna will be the alternate.
And
All right.
I will need you guys to sign this because this is an annual thing.
Yeah. So don't leave without your
Yes.
John Hancock on the paper. Okay. Next is going to be. I'm just going to make the statement that there are a few committees. We did do some restructuring with the committee process through policy work this past year. So this list actually, and I apologize that I didn't catch it in advance, is not entirely accurate. So tomorrow I will send a list out to the board with our actual committees. I believe it is curriculum, facilities. Actually, I have it right here. I can just say it, and I'll email it out so you guys have it to think through. But it's facilities, policy, SAU budget, and curriculum review. I believe Dot was going to help spin that up this year. And then there's a couple of appointments or delegations. So like the SPAC, the SAU 41 Governing Board, RSAC, the New Hampshire School Board Association Annual Delegate Assembly, maybe the teacher luncheon. So if I will send this list to you guys, you can kind of think through, and then at our next meeting, well, I'll do all those appointments.
Are there no negotiations this year?
No.
There's
Correct.
No,
We're good.
no. So those two committees are away.
And that
this
would be
year.
next year.
Next
Next year,
there will be
yes.
Support.
the support
two-year,
staff had a
yes.
2-year contract.
Might I just interject one quick thing?
Yeah.
Is there a desire for a change in policy committee? I just don't want to hold up the work of the policy committee.
We talked
We talked about that
at the
last
last
time.
meeting,
Oh, okay.
and Johanna
I
and
will
Lynn were
say,
going to do
yeah.
policy.
Okay, great. And then my other question was, we have a facilities committee meeting coming up. Can I beg Tracy to show up? And if
Yeah,
you
the
change,
only meeting, I think I may have missed a meeting where we did a tour of the building. I don't know if we met since then.
we had 2 meetings.
Yeah, I didn't get any of those. The 2 meetings that I attended or the 2 meetings?
There have been only
Yeah,
2 meetings.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
great, yeah.
Okay.
When is that? Because I'm
April 1st.
interested in joining the facilities committee.
And is
4
that
p.m.
here?
April 1st, 4 p.m. here.
Can other people?
It's
tag
open
along?
to the community, yeah.
Okay. And April 1st, what time?
4 p.m.
I'll make sure somebody orders that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
On April Fool's Day, really?
Yeah.
And we're meeting in the library? We're
Conference room.
upstairs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Agenda adjustments. Do we have any?
You wanted one.
Yes. So I want one. So for the agenda adjustment, what I would like to do is under discussion, there's a last bullet here called new member interest, which is actually shouldn't be under discussion. It's supposed to be member initiated comments, a non-action section that we were going to test run for a couple of months and see how it sits. And I'll talk about it more when we get to it. And Tracy was going to be our first up in that. The idea though, and we've looked at how other boards around New Hampshire have done it. This is usually one of those things that we do at the end of the meeting to raise awareness, raise interest, and we'll talk about it more. But I would like to move that particular item to the end of the agenda so we can put it in practice the way that it was intended. So, do I have to take a vote on that?
No.
Good. Okay. So I would like to make that agenda adjustment. Are there any other?
So I have one before you have your correspondence.
Okay.
Do you have another agenda adjustment?
No, I just lost my, I
Okay.
just messed up my pages.
Sorry.
I printed them front and back instead of I was trying to save a tree. and it's messing me up.
It didn't
All
work
right.
out.
So, dear Superintendent Bergskog, I'm writing to formally resign from my position at Captain Samuel Douglas Academy as a fourth grade teacher effective June 30th, 2026. Thank you for my time in the Brookline School District. I will miss the students, parents, and especially the amazing staff at Captain Samuel Douglas Academy. Thank you, Andrea Hatch.
We were supposed to vote on the agenda adjustment before you jumped into reading that.
Yeah, but she has
You don't
to.
actually need to.
Oh,
vote
don't
on
have
the
to, okay.
agenda.
Just well, it's on here.
I know.
Okay, do you have any other things that you need to read?
So I just need you guys to vote to accept the
Oh,
resignation.
yes. So, is this anybody want to make a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Andrea Hatch from CSU.
With regret, I will second that. All in favor?
Begrudgingly.
Yes, very begrudgingly.
Okay.
I think we will miss Mrs. Hatch very much. She's been wonderful, and it's a loss for us. So.
Yeah. I echo that sentiment. She's a big part of that community, and I know does some incredible work with our students and has a really good relationship with our teachers. So we are sorry to hear of that for sure.
I have one more.
Okay.
Did you just forward it to me?
No. I will.
One moment, please.
It's okay. We're just
Oh,
waiting.
here we go.
There we go.
Oh, you found it?
I found it. Okay. But I need to make it larger. Dear Gina, please accept this letter as my formal notification of my retirement and my resignation from my position as Special Education Administrator to the Brookline School District effective June 30th, 2026. It has been a privilege to serve this district and to work alongside dedicated educators, administrators, and staff in support of students with diverse learning needs. Thank you for your leadership and for the support you and the other administrative staff have provided this year. Throughout my time here, I have truly valued the opportunity to contribute to the growth and development of programs that help students succeed. The commitment of the Brookline community to its students has made this work especially meaningful. I would like to thank you and Lauren DeGennaro for the leadership and support you have provided this year. I've appreciated the collaboration, professionalism, and shared focus on doing what is best for students. While I have greatly enjoyed my work in Brookline, I feel that it is the right time for me to step away from my professional role and begin exploring other interests in retirement. I will carry many positive memories from my time with the district. I'm committed to helping ensure a smooth transition over the coming months and would be happy to assist in any way that may be helpful as plans are made for the next school year. Thank you again for the opportunity to be part of the Brookline School District. I wish the district, its staff, and its students continued success in the years ahead. Sincerely, Jennifer Dolliff.
Can I get a motion to accept the resignation or retirement? I missed the beginning of that.
Technically, it's a resignation because she was with us for 1 year, but it's
Got it.
her
But she's
But her
moving
time
on
to
lifetime.
retire.
Moving
Yeah.
on to retire, so, okay, so may I get a motion to accept the resignation of Dolph? Lynn? You make,
motion.
you-
I
make the
so
motion
moved.
to-
You can
so
say
moved.
so moved.
So
Cool.
moved.
Do I have a second?
I was like, I accept.
Tracy. Any discussion?
I'm very sad.
Yeah.
Like, I know, retirement, and I wish her all of the best in retirement, but she will be missed.
Thank you very much for your time. We deeply
Absolutely.
appreciate it. All in favor? Thank you. Do you have any others?
I do not.
Do you have any correspondence?
I do not.
Okay, I do. Okay, so I have two correspondence to read into the record. Monday, March 16th, 2026. I want to take a moment to express my gratitude and thanks to all who responded to the fire at our MMS this weekend, as well as a few individuals and groups that acted decisively and confidently to keep our schools safe and functioning throughout a variety of mishaps over the weekend. I want to start by acknowledging the quick actions of the SAU and district administration, particularly Superintendent Bergskog, Principal Molinari, Facilities Director Lance Finnemore, and the facilities teams of both RMMS and CSDA. Their quick responses and actions to the fire at RMMS allowed for immediate action and adequate time to get RMMS back up and safely running for our students to be in school on Monday. I'm sure it is quite a shock to receive a call that there's a fire in our school, but our administrators were on site within minutes, gathered accurate information, and quickly and concisely provided relevant information to the community and concerned parents. Furthermore, as they were attempting to navigate a situation at RMMS, power was knocked out at CSDA in the midst of a town meeting, which our teams quickly and efficiently managed when the generator at the school needed extra support. I am grateful for the excellent and dedicated facility staff we have and appreciate their hard work this weekend to keep our schools safe and functioning for our students. I also wish to thank and acknowledge the town of Brookline Fire, Ambulance, and Police Services who provided a quick response to the call and efficiently knocked the fire down with minimal damage. I am grateful to the towns of Milford, Townsend, Hollis, Pepperell, and Mason for their mutual aid and station coverage they provided while the call was ongoing, preventing a more dangerous situation and ensuring the fire was safely and quickly extinguished. They provided integral support in checking that the rest of the school was safe and that the community of Brookline had adequate support should another call come in while the fire was being dealt with. Small towns like ours rely on the aid of our neighbors in times such as these, and we are grateful that they came in when we needed them. Finally, I would like to acknowledge Assistant Chief Dave Jokey of the Brookline Fire Department, whose calm and confident leadership was apparent in his command of the fire at RMMS. He responded to the call within minutes, assessed the situation, instructed dispatch to call for mutual aid, and is the reason the fire was quickly and efficiently extinguished. He ensured the school was safe and that no further fire risk remained before leaving the grounds. We are very lucky to have him serving in our fire department here in Brookline. I know our schools and towns are in excellent hands with him. Johanna Schreiber-Halligan, Brookline School Board. I also got another correspondence on Monday, March 16th, 2026. The Brookline, New Hampshire PTO wishes to express our deepest appreciation in light of the multiple challenging events that occurred on Saturday, March 14th, 2026. We are truly appreciative of the following people and organizations that supported both RMMS and CSDA during the fire at RMMS and the power outage during town meeting at CSDA. Members of the administration, including Dan Molinari and Chaz Miller, Facilities Director Lance Finnemore, members of the custodial team at both schools, Brookline Police Department, Brookline Fire Department, as well as custodial teams at both schools. I read that part already, just kidding. As well as the Hollis, Mason, Milford, Pepperell, and Townsend Fire Departments in Ben Center Trucking. We are grateful to live in a community that is so well supported and works together with our schools and town. Kind regards, Maureen Shoma and Emily Meyer, Brookline PTO co-presidents. Right,
I would just like to add quickly, Ben Center as well, yes, I was not aware of his contributions when I wrote my email, but he was very decisive and acted quickly with the generator and helped them out, like, by getting, like, antifreeze and coolant in, so, like, again, community members just kind of jumped in, and so I just wanted to note that as well.
While we're on the topic of correspondence, I'm going to deviate briefly for a second. I would like permission from this board to send a letter of thanks to all of the towns that sent mutual aid, but I obviously am not going to do that without agreement from the board. If you guys are comfortable with that, I think it would be really lovely if we could just send a letter of thanks for their support.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you are comfortable with that, I will draft something, send it out to you guys so that you see what is being sent out, and then just sign on our behalf.
That's great.
Can I just take a vote on that? Are we all in favor of me being able to?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay. Sorry, slight deviation. All right. Any other communications? Cool. Time to read. Approval of minutes from the joint meeting Brookline School Board and Finance Committee on January 15th, 2026. The following amendments were offered. Page 3, line 38, replace training with trained. Page 6, line 19, insert commas following library and town hall. Page 7, line 12, classifications should be singular. Page 7, line 42, replace the comma with a period following members. Page 8, line 31, replace LL with all. May I have a motion to accept as amended? In a second? All in favor? Thank you. All right, from the Brookline School Board Public Hearing FY27 budgets, there were no changes, and so I'm looking for a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I will make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Can I have a second? Thank you, all in favor? Thank you. From the Brookline School Board, second public hearing petition warrant articles on January 15th. The following amendment was offered. Page 1, line 14, replace providing with provided. May I get a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
Keep going, Heather.
I will make a motion to accept as amended.
Excellent. May I get a second?
Do I get that?
Perfect. All in favor? Thank you. From the Brookline School Board non-public session, January 15th, 2022, there were no amendments to the minutes. May I get a motion to accept them as presented?
I will, so moved.
Any second? Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. From the Brookline School Board, February 4th, 2026 meeting, there are no amendments offered. May I get a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. That's that page. Oh, wait, there's more. From the Brookline School Board deliberative session on February 4th, 2026, the following amendments were offered. Page 1, line 10, replace president with presided. Page 14, line 12, replace sayings with saying. Page 14, line 39, correct the spelling of increases. Page 31, line 15, should identify Michael Pellerito, thank you, as the as the individual who seconded the motion. Page 32, line 8, correct the spelling of Brookline. Page 36, line 9, insert motion seconded by Robert Rushton. Page 36, line 29, insert by Ryan Power following motion seconded. Page 37, line 13, insert by Ryan Power following motion seconded. Page 38, line 29, replace competed with completed. Page 46, line 48, insert by Brendan Dennehy following motion seconded. Page 47, line 43, insert by Robert Rushton following motion seconded. Page 50, line 1, replace business administration with business administrator, both capitals. May I get a motion to accept the
Yeah.
minutes as amended?
I'm not, yes, so moved.
Can I get a second? Thank you. All in favor? Great. From the Brookline School Board public hearing warrant articles on February 9th, 2022. There are no amendments to the minutes. May I get a motion to accept them as presented?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All in favor? Excellent. All right. I will go ahead and make a motion that the board by roll call go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, and RSA 91-A:3, 2C, to discuss a matter which, if discussed in public, would likely adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a member or the body of the agency itself. May I get a second? Heather, great. And then Heather, by roll call, can you start us off?
Aye. Aye, Heather.
Tracy Perry, aye.
Lynn Powers, aye.
Johanna, I.
Allison, aye. Excellent. We are gonna head into non-public at 6:38.
All right, so I'll show you how I do it.
Yeah.
year last year, we have 564 students currently in Brookline. For our calendar of events, we've had a lot of great things happening since February. Going back to February 19th, we had the RMS Family STEM Night. That was for all grades. It was really wonderful to see all the families and students and staff here for that night. I want to thank the staff for their extra efforts staying after hours to support the students, but also all the students' hard work and the families for donating supplies and sharing supplies. That night was really fun. We had basically games from around the world. So each classroom represents a different country. And obviously it was during the Olympic Games, so it was kind of, we tried to merge the two together. So we had games from Italy, we had games from Mexico, we had game from Germany, Thailand, Kenya, Zimbabwe, England, Venezuela, all these different countries. It was really cute. There's a picture, actually three brothers that go to our school. They all dressed with their country's flag, like the shirts, and they came that night together. It was really cute. And then you'll see a picture here. This was really neat. Mrs. Enulet's class, they represented USA in hockey. They had hockey, and they made air hockey using magnetiles. The Play-Doh container and then the cap was the puck, and it actually worked better than a regular air hockey table. So if you're ever looking to buy air hockey, you don't have to. Magnetiles and
Make your own.
there you go, make your own. But really, the students did a great job. Like even Kenya, they made Mancala kits. It was just really a great night, and it was spread out throughout the building. Then Mr. Martis put on his climbing wall on display, and that was a fun night too because parents got to see the support of the PTO, but also the taxpayers and the grant money that we've got to make that climbing wall, and how the students use it during the day. And it was pretty neat watching our students traverse the wall. In the gym, there was Venezuela from Mrs. Ozier's class, and her students did speed skating, and then when they finished, they got a medal. It was just really neat and well done. There's, Olympic music getting played, so really fun night, and again, I want to thank everybody that came. We then came back from vacation week right after, and we had Read Across America week. That was a fun week. I want to thank Mrs. Starkey, Mrs. Peterson, Mrs. Starkey, our school librarian and media specialist, Mrs. Peterson, our curriculum administrator, our reading specialist, Erin Mello, Kim Bodette, and Patty Waller, who all helped support the Read Across America week, along with our team of teachers. We had, every day was a different theme. And if you don't remember, we had a snowstorm right before Read Across America week, so there's a little snowman there, and we put online, maybe make a character of your snowman. But then the next day it melted, just like throughout the winter, right? So the first day of Read Across America week was, clothing with names on it. Then we had the second day was wear your favorite jersey for sports book day. We had animal clothing, so wear animal clothing with prints. And we had PJ day, comfy day, cuddle up with a book. So really great Read Across America week. We have a picture of, it's an odd picture. That's actually me right there. I'm cracking a rock because students in grade 1 were doing a CK lesson on geode, so I was cracking a rock with their class. That's that one. So we're trying to make it come to life. Then, just recently, our third graders, this has been a traditional project every year. We usually do it in December. It used to be called the International Breakfast, but we moved it this year to March, and we call it the Heritage Project now. So students, instead of researching like their country of heritage, they had the choice to research any country. And the students did a phenomenal job creating a poster board. They had to research famous landmarks, famous people, famous places, and really wonderful job researching their countries. And there was a good, diverse, we covered a wide range of countries, and then every country that the students created, they had a meal that they brought in that their family made at home, and they had a big buffet or a big breakfast. So that was nice. It was delicious too. And then we had our Brookline's Kids Vote, which went really well. We had that on at CSDA, and this was just an opportunity for families to kind of model their civic engagement and have the kids participate in the democratic process. Both RMS and CSDA had ballots for their students to vote on. The winning ballot choice was a day of play for April, May, and June at RMS, and CSDA, what was yours?
Extra recess.
Extra recess was at CSDA, so those are the winners.
It was no brainer, I mean.
Yeah. But-
Oh, no, RMS had a lot of choices. Like,
So,
I was like, that is a
so
lot.
just some background for that. Our second graders wrote some, they were opinion pieces, and they had, they wanted me to think about different things they could implement in our building. So I said, you know what? Why don't you guys each vote as a class on your top choice, and then each class had a choice that they picked, and those are the 5 choices. We have 5 second grades, each class had a choice, so that's how we got our ballot choices. And then, coming into April for RMS, if you haven't checked, check out your child's report card. Those came out Friday through Parent Square. Mr. Tatar, our music teacher, is doing music informances. So it's just a way to invite the families in to showcase what the students do during a week of music. So we've already done 3 performances. We had Mrs. Everett's class, Mrs. Aintil's. This week is Mrs. Osier's class, and then we have Mrs. Carrier and Mrs. Enulat's class, and those have been going really well. And then coming up right before vacation week, our 3rd grade concert. And we're looking forward to that. That night with Mr. Tatar and our 3rd graders. And moving on to Mr. Miller. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. It's been a while since we did one of these. I kind of forgot that we had all this stuff going on. A couple of things I didn't put on here. One of them was the performance we had, which went incredible, the 33 Little Pigs. So that went really well. And it was super fun. It even gave me a teachable moment with the kids. The kids did a phenomenal job. Huge thanks to the PTO and the parents who helped get everything together. It was one of the highlights when I first got in there. I was thinking this is going to be really great to be a part of this. So inserted myself into the 33 Little Pigs and asked if I could be in it too, and they accommodated me. I was able to repay them for that by forgetting my lines on each of the nights. The 3rd day I did get them, but a funny little story. So it turned into a teachable moment for the kids because we've been talking about perseverance and things like that at town hall meetings. And so what happened is it was the 2nd night we were doing it, and my line began, "You're out of line, private," because I was Sergeant Pig. And I just blanked. Never had that happen before. It's just gone. And so the student who was there, she was much taller than I am, and she was the wolf. And so I'm standing there, and I could see her, and she's waiting for me to say my line, and waiting for me. And then she goes, "You're out of line." And I said to her, "I know I'm out of line. I forgot my line." She goes, "No, you're out of line. That's your line." I'm like, "Oh, yes, that's my line." And then I went. So I ended up the next day talking with the students before we had our student show, and I said to them, being up on the stage takes a ton of courage. I said, the last night, I forgot my line, and it was really funny because they were all looking at me like, "Oh my God, you forgot your line." And I told them I forgot my line, but this student helped me and got back on, and then went right back at it. But I said I had butterflies and I was nervous, and it was this really incredible thing. So appreciate the people who are up there and show them your gratitude and all that. And the kids were great. They were the best audience in the world. But it was a nice teachable moment. But it was one of those things where it was packed both nights, and it really did say so much about the culture of the school and what we appreciate in creativity and what we appreciate in kids showing that courage and perseverance. So it was great all around. Other things we're doing, just putting in here too, explore biographies. We're done in 5th grade, and different grade levels went to each of the classrooms to see the projects that they had done in trifolds, and that was really fun to see, and the kids got to talk about what they had done in the Explorers with that. We did the jump rope for Heart school-wide. It was really funny because not really too many people use jump ropes until Miss Van Dyke did this, and now it's like every grade level has jump ropes, outside at recess, and they love doing it. And they do really intricate things, like they have the big jump rope with like 2 or 3 people, and then they have somebody jump roping within the jump rope, and then they do cross jump roping with the big ropes, and then somebody in the middle jump roping with another rope. And it kind of blows my mind a little bit when I watch that. But it's great, and they have so much fun. And then we're doing, we finished our first Wolfpack mural. So at the beginning of the year, I had 2 students come up to me and say, Mr. Miller, we voted on this last year. Can we put this, on one of the hallways? And I said, absolutely. And our Wolfpack Council that we formed this year is basically our student council. And so we took that on as a project. So the 2 people who created the mural, and as well as the student, the Wolfpack Council, we put it on the wall as you walk out of our 5th grade, straight on the wall. All the kids traced it. They each got a turn tracing it. All the kids painted it. They each got a chance to paint it. And it came out really beautiful. I don't have the finished product on here, but we also found a process out. So what we're doing now is I just put it out to the teachers, and we have teachers now with each of the classrooms. Every classroom is going to make their own mural, because kids were walking by and going, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. So now every classroom is going to create a mural, and it's going to be outside their classroom, and it's going to showcase being kind, being respectful, being responsible, and being a learner, and our core values. And so any child can create a drawing. The classroom will vote on it, and that drawing is the one that they're going to get outside their classroom and put up as a mural. So every classroom will have a mural, and I think it's going to be such a great visual for our hallways to have 12 of those all around, so that they can see and be reinforced every day. This is how we live at CSDA.
Dan, I just have a quick question. Can you just explain a little bit more about the music? Like, so it's a way for people, like parents, to come in and see what kindergarten.
Yeah, sure.
Just a little more.
The informants. So yeah, that's a great question. So years back when we had Shannon Sinclair here, our music teacher, she wanted a way for parents to see how kindergarten begins their music journey. Mm-hmm. So she would invite the families in and show what a music class looks like. So Mr. Tatara, I had shared that idea with him, and he's taken off with it. So he's inviting the families to come in just to see the songs that they learned that week. So I think there's a series of 4 songs. I went to every one so far. They've been great. Parents have been really enjoyed the students singing, because we don't do a kindergarten concert. We do a 3rd grade. So this is just one way to come in and have an opportunity to come see the students in the classroom. So
Thank you.
yeah, it's fun.
Anything else? Okay, at this point, I am going to open public input at 7:34. If anybody from the community would like to come down and join us, the floor is open for 30 minutes. So with that, we will move on to our discussion items. The first is the 2026-2027 academic calendar.
You had in your packet the proposed calendar for next year. For 2026, it is 178 days for students. And you will see that it's later than we normally start back, and that is because of where Labor Day falls. And the superintendent did try to work with the unions to get them to agree to come back a week earlier. That was not successful, and so that's why we needed to stay with the later start date. So we will be starting later than many of the communities surrounding us. And for Brookline, the Flex Day, which is October 28th, that is a new day based on the contract this year. And that already existed in the other 2 communities. And that's a day for them to do a lot of their training that they need to do for the start of the school year. They can do it over the summer, and that day counts for their Flex Day.
You said the 28th?
August 28th.
August. I heard October.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm not the, okay, thanks.
How many snow day or 5 days?
We build in 5 snow days into the calendar, and if we don't use all of those, then we get out sooner.
Okay.
Do we know what the last day is? I know. But
Yes,
Like,
Sep-
for today or this year. Today is the last day.
As of right now, we are on June 16th, the Tuesday.
Okay. So we're still on track. Like you haven't had to add snow days.
No, so,
We have
so there
3.
are 5 built in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we have had 3.
Okay.
So the calendar says June 18th is the last day, but as of right now, we've pushed that back to the 16th because we've only had 3. If we have another one, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I'll do it. We can all take a grippy sock vacation. That's okay. But
It's not impossible.
Stop
It is,
Lynn?
no. Remember the April Fool's storm?
Stop it.
okay. So yeah. So right. Okay.
So the June 24th day
could potentially get moved.
has the 5 days built
Okay.
in. So hopefully if we have no snow, we'll get out sooner than that. And in years where there is a primary, which we have on September 8th this year, the teachers will get out the same day as the students. If we didn't have a primary day, then the teachers do an extra day after the students,
Okay. Wait, is the primary on a Monday or a Tuesday though?
Tuesday
Tuesday the 8th. The 8th. The 7th is the.
is Labor Day.
Oh, right. No, federal holiday. Okay. So the 8th, the teachers are working, but the students are
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the blue, if you see the blue, those
Yeah.
are teacher days with,
Okay.
that they're working, but students are not. And the gray boxes are holidays, federal holidays,
Okay.
or school vacation,
So the students go back on the 3rd.
the 3rd.
For 2
correct.
days.
Yes,
And then they don't return until Wednesday the 9th?
correct.
Okay.
So the 3rd,
They have a very
4th,
long
4th.
Labor Day weekend
You're
this
gonna
year.
think summer's over.
I know.
It's not.
I know, it's like,
Yeah, that's like an amazing tease.
It never worked like that when we were kids.
Never.
Well, where I grew up, they started it after Labor Day specifically, so we didn't get the holiday.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank
but that
guys
makes
for
you
working
much
on
later in
Yeah.
the year to get out.
this.
yeah.
It does. All right, any questions about the calendar?
Just a quick question. I know this is an academic calendar, but a lot of parents, I feel like, live and die by this calendar. And I just wonder if there would be any appetite for adding the school board meetings to this calendar, just so that parents, we give them one more opportunity to be aware. So just wondering if there's any appetite to think about that.
Is that something that can be added to an academic calendar?
There's nothing legally saying we can't. It's, it's a little bit tricky. If the board wants, the 5 of you want it, we can find a way to make it happen. Sometimes there's movement of board meetings. We have this, what happens at the May meeting is this exact same calendar is shared with you with all of the board meetings on it. And it's the board calendar. What I would love for people to do is sign up for notifications. I don't know if you saw on the SAU site. We only have, I think, 18 people signed up right now. I'm one of them. But folks can get an email with the update when the agenda is posted. And they can decide which boards they want notification from.
There's a similar calendar, maybe we could do under important dates, do just a link.
A list, or a link to it.
To the
Yeah.
other calendar. I think if you started to put more colors, it starts to get a little bit busy, and so it's not as easy for parents to read.
Oh, I completely understood. It was just a suggestion because we've heard, for a lot of times that parents are just unaware or unable to come or unable to view it. In light of, just trying to find ways to be more communicative, especially when it's really important around board meetings and our agendas.
So when we send it home with electronic format, we can put a link under the important dates to your calendar.
I think that would be good, and I know, forgive me if I'm misspeaking, but I know we started seeing Parent Square alerts that there were board meetings.
Yeah, so
Is
I see them at the bottom.
Hang on,
Yeah,
hang on.
we
So
have
is that,
newsletters.
yeah, maybe we can continue with that this year and just be consistent with it every month. Not saying that you weren't, because I don't always read Parent Square. But I do know I started seeing them, and so maybe that's just
Yes,
something
we had
can-
all of the annual meetings
Right,
pushed out by
that's
all
what
the
I'm
principals.
That's what I was just
I'm looking at last week's newsletter.
Yeah,
And it says
it's in
March
there.
25th, school board meeting. I can go back to, but.
So what I'll say is it was the annual meetings that got posted, and then if you look at the bottom of the bulletin though that gets sent out every week, it will tell you
It's
what
there,
day it is.
yeah.
Yeah. So it is on Parrot Square. Not every meeting gets noticed on Parrot Square, but like if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, I know it's on the classroom newsletter I get as well. I don't know if every teacher does that, but there's definitely like places on Parrot Square. You can-
On that note, I did post on Facebook today's meeting.
Thank you.
And is that okay? Is everyone accept, okay, I was just like, that might be a good way to,
As long as we're just
I was just putting
here,
information.
here that is, then I think we're good. Otherwise, kind of what we were all doing as a private citizen.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. Any other questions about the calendar? Okay, Education Assistant Program, Section 127.
Okay, so section 127 is something that I will need our board chair to sign off on. Essentially, what we approved as part of the new contract is that if we have a teacher in years 1, 2, 3, 4,
Okay. Special Education Cost Driver Overview. So,
Yes, hi. So in your packet, you will see an overview, and I'll walk everyone through what it includes. This is a very high-level, general overview of some of the higher costs that you see with special education. So obviously, there are some costs. You know, we have curriculum, we have materials, we have those pieces as well. ESY, summer programming based on student needs is also a cost factor, but these are some of the bigger numbers that you would see as we look at the programming. So for special education, as you saw from the manual from this summer, August and September, it is a very complex process. There are a lot of laws and compliance and policies that go along with it. So it is a legally mandated cost. So it's an incredible responsibility, and every team takes that responsibility seriously. And when we look at the needs of students, they program appropriately based on those students' needs, and those services can be vast. So as we go through, I just do a general overview of special education, and, you know, our philosophy as a district is to educate all of our students in the home district. That is what our goal is. You'll see a little bit further down, there are times where there may not be the programming or different, you know, depending on the needs, and students need to utilize an out-of-district placement. But we really work hard to build the programs in-house, so that does not have to happen due to, you know, a myriad of reasons, including their community interactions and their social and being with their peers in their home school. So you'll go through, the next section is the total identified students in Brookline. So I use October 1st numbers. Those are the numbers that we use, that the state uses for our count. This is a fluid process. Students get discharged and identified for special education throughout the year. So this number is slightly different now, but it all kind of stays typically within the same range. So you'll see for our October 1st number for 2025, which is this school year, we had a total of 81 students out of 556. RMMS had 33 out of 304 students, and CSDA 48 out of 252. So Brookline has worked diligently over the past, I'd say, 4 years especially, although it did start a little bit prior to that, to build the programs as students who have complex needs, you know, kind of arose in different ways, and we were looking at just the needs overall in our buildings. What programs can we build to help best support our students? And so there is a program at RMS, that is our STEP program, K through 3, and CSDA has 2 programs, a STEP program 4 through 6, and Impact program. The approximate number of students currently accessing these programs is 18. These numbers can be as high as 24 to 36 with little change to current staffing. So these programs, again, you know, typically serve students with kind of, myriad of needs, and I'll go through that further down. So I wanted to kind of create a chart for everybody. And I just use an example of 10 students because round numbers is easier. So if you look at an out-of-district day placement, there is, of course, residential placements as well, but right now we'll just look at a day placement as we look at least restrictive environment for students. And if you have a student with significant needs who requires an out-of-district placement, what that cost could be. So the tuition ranges. It could even be, the general range is 100,000 to 200,000. It could be higher than 200,000. It can be lower than 100,000, but that's rare. Then there's related services, which I'll talk about later on. Related services, the most common that you see are speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. But we'll talk about more besides that. Those, if a student requires them and they're separate from the program, that will yield a separate cost, typically ranging 30 to 75,000. And then transportation can range anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000 per student. Some of these out-of-district placements are quite far. Some of them can be an hour away. So it just depends on what the placement is and what the student needs. So that,
That's a quick question about
Yeah.
this. Is it per year or is it per their journey over?
per year, per student per year. So per student cost range can be 200,000 to 475,000. And so the estimated cost based on the example enrollment of 10 students who we have in our in-district programming that may require an out-of-district program if we didn't have that programming could be upwards of $3 million for 10 students. Now, if you look at the right column, the way that we break it down is, you look at a typical program and you would have the special education teacher. So I kind of quantified it by the cost of our staff because the staff cost is probably our highest cost, I don't say probably, is our highest cost in regards to building the programs. So what I looked at, and I apologize for my typo, I have 12 next to paraeducators, it should be 10 students for my example, I apologize. So the special education teacher, I just took an average salary. And then paraeducators, what the cost would be depending how many paraeducators we would need in the program. Again, this is very fluid because I'm using an example, but every program's different and the student needs are different. And then you have our related services. And because we are in our school district, we have our speech pathologists, our occupational therapists, our BCBA, who are our employees. And so they are shared across the entire building for all students. So those are shared costs. And so I broke down kind of a percentage of what those shared costs would be. And then transportation, there is in-district transportation, there is specialized transportation in district depending on student need, and I totaled out that cost. So per student, again, estimate is about $75,000, could be less in many cases, and that's the general average. So the estimated total cost based on the example would be $750,000. And then an estimated differential with one move-in for that would be approximately $19,000 or so. If we have a student moving in who requires an out-of-district placement for some reason, that cost obviously is higher based on that total. Are there any questions? Yeah.
I just had a question. When we talk about the STEP program and the impact program, is that academics plus some of these related services? I don't know if I'm really familiar. You probably talked about them, but.
Yeah. So all students access their general education curriculum in their grade level. These are programs where they receive specialized instruction in different methodologies based on what their needs are. And so they require some more specialized instruction and may be pulled out of the classroom more often than other students. So it does kind of balance how, often the students, so we have a continuum of least restrictive environment. So you look at as much time as you can in the regular classroom, and then it builds from there depending on what the student services are. Okay.
Did you say, in terms of reimbursement, is there any reimbursement that comes in for special education? Or are you going to get to that later?
I didn't highlight it here, but I'm happy to answer that. And I want to highlight a couple of things. Let me finish going through this, and I'll happily answer that piece too. We'll go through that. So for the program pieces in general, across our SAU, when we build programs like this, I do have schools calling me, asking to tuition their students in to our programs. And if there is a good fit and there are those pieces, that's potential revenue if we have space and that district would pay the tuition that we set and pay for the individual related services, paraeducators, and transportation. So staffing for programs, these are some of the costs. So we hire within as our employees, we have BCBAs, speech pathologists, occupational therapists, behavior specialists, but there are, and paraeducators. We are this month releasing 2 contracted paraeducators. We've been able to hire 2 more. So good job to Jen and Dan and the team. So that's wonderful for this year as far as news. So those staff members we hire as our own employees. But there are other services that we sometimes need to contract out for that we don't have a full-time need. So those costs for anything that's contracted, physical therapy, teacher of the deaf, teacher for the visually impaired, orientation and mobility, all of those would be contracted by hour. So sometimes those costs can fluctuate year to year, depending on what the student's needs are, so you may see higher numbers in those budget lines, depending on need. Okay? Okay, so now I'll circle back. Are there any questions about what's on the document? And then I'll circle back to Johanna's question.
I just had, so I know you mentioned ESY. Did we have a cost breakdown of like how much our district, I mean, because ESY is, I believe, across districts, right? Like, usually is it combined?
We service the students in the same building, but the financial piece is still separated.
So do we have an idea about how much we're contributing or putting towards ESY?
Yep, so we have, so our programs run, about 4.5 hours a day for 3 days a week for 5 weeks. We pay teachers and paraeducators by an hourly rate, so it breaks down. We've really streamlined the services and our own speech. We've had to contract out very little the past year, summer to 2 summers, so our costs have actually gone down for ESY, which has been great. They've done an amazing job with honing that in. I can't remember the exact number right now. I feel like it's about 50,000. It used to be 75 or so. It's gone down. So don't quote me on that. I can look it up, but that's where it is about at the moment.
I mean, is it required though, or like how do you?
ESY?
Yeah, so like if for the staff, is it like?
No, we always say if you're interested in working ESY, you
So
reach
it's
out
kind
to
of
your
like
coordinator
you hire
and we
on
hire
the
for that, and then it's summer authorization process for them to work, Okay, any other questions about this?
Sorry, just one more.
Yeah,
question.
please, ask away. Go.
Is the 14.5%, is that typical across New Hampshire for the total amount of students who are identified and across New Hampshire, across districts? Is that a common percentage? Are we high,
Yeah,
low?
we're actually a little on the lower side. It depends, but again, it depends on the size of your district. Proportionally, that's really hard, because every district's, being different sizes. But this, it's been pretty steady for us for the past maybe three years, and I have those numbers
like
too, if you
RMS
ever
is
want to see them.
lower than it has been.
Correct. RMMS is lower than it has been. There's been some move up to CSTA. But it's typical, and it's not on the extreme high side. There are some districts as high as 19%, 20%, depending. Okay, so as far as revenue, so special education aid is one piece of revenue. So when a student's programming exceeds what they call the special education aid cap, and that's a state number that's determined every year. Right now, it's hovering at about 76,000 and change. Anything that we pay above that cap, we can get back 80% of that cost, of the difference between the cap and what the program costs. So the easiest example is to use an out-of-district student. So if you had a student that's out of district and their program costs $200,000, and it includes everything, transportation, what have you, if it's 3 times the amount, you get 80% back. If it's 10 times the amount, you get the full difference back. So, and it's a formula and it's a calculation. So when you see special education aid in the revenue, and you'll see that in the revenue expense report, we received our special ed aid back. We receive it around New Year's, the end of December. That's the funds that we receive back for any students that we pay for that are above that cap.
Can you share with them, so the funds we get
I'm
in
good,
New Year's,
yeah.
when are they from?
Yep, so, thank you. So, again, what also makes this process very, very complex is that everything is planned out, as you know, the budget's planned out a year or so in advance, right? So we're predicting the future, and I think we've done a pretty good job of predicting what we can predict. Special education aid is paid out, so I have to submit it July 31st. So I submitted this past July 31st, was 2025. We won't get that back till 2027. So it's a year and a half out that we get it back. So the special education aid that you received back in December is from 2023. Am I doing my math right? 2024. 2024, thank you. 2024. So it takes a long time to circle that back. Now, the other piece to special education aid was not this past year, but the year before. The state only funded 66% of special education aid that districts were supposed to receive back to the districts. So we didn't even receive our full percentage that we were supposed to get back. Nobody did, because they did not have enough funds. And that was largely due to a law change that made special education go to age 22 instead of 21. So no school districts had budgeted for that. It was a lot more people submitted for special education aid. It was a lot of different pieces to that puzzle. So, but then this year, the state promised, okay, we're going to figure that out, and that won't happen again. So you will see, so I budgeted a little bit lower because I don't want to promise revenue that I don't know we're going to get. Obviously, I do the calculations and I submit it. So you'll see that we got more back in revenue than what I predicted, because I wasn't sure if the funds were going to be there. So I just wanted to make sure that I always kind of am very conservative with what I estimate typically. Another source of revenue that you're going to see an increase on is our Medicaid revenue. So we have the ability to get reimbursed for Medicaid funds. We took extra steps this summer and this school year to really review our internal procedures, our processes, and make sure that we, did every single thing possible that we could to maximize our Medicaid revenue. And you will see that we have thus far received back almost $28,000, where last year, I believe we were at 15 or 20, and we're only in March. So we will receive more as the year goes on. We are also switching our software systems to a system that will be much more user-friendly and able to track and maximize in that process as well. So those are the two key drivers of revenue that we have in regards to special education.
So in terms of Medicare or Medicaid, whichever.
Medicaid, not Medicare.
Whatever we don't know which one it is.
Yep.
Does that only qualify for early education, or does it qualify past?
What do you mean by early education?
Like
It goes,
3 to 5 or 3
no,
to 6?
nope,
No, it goes-
up through age 22.
Okay.
So again, so this is a high-level overview. I'm happy to take any questions. I just wanted you to have this information. I'm happy to provide further information if you'd like, or as we go through budget season, obviously starting in the fall, to dig into this more if you would like to. Or if you want to read the manual, it's really, really nice light reading. If you're
Is that wrapped up for the teachers to read, to pick? The special ed manual?
Yeah, definitely.
This is really informative. It's a whole area that I don't know
Yeah.
a lot about, and I think I really appreciate you putting this together. I certainly feel more educated on how the process works.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome, and I'm happy, to answer anything else in the future as well.
Is there any area that we're lacking in Brookline that we could improve on with special ed? Like, is there a program that?
Yeah, no, so we're going to be continuing to build some programs down at our MMS, and that's kind of in the works. But, because again, it takes a little bit of planning before you kind of, have the program fully in there. But honestly, the staff is doing an incredible job. It's been so exciting to watch all the work that's been done the past, I would say, 4 to 5 years. Again, it started a few years before that, but really, really became more robust in the past 4 or 5 years. And it's been really exciting to watch. And I think the staff does an amazing job. And I'm very happy with where we are. And so really only great things to come, honestly, so. Yeah. I don't want to speak for you, but
I think Lawrence did a great job with the report. I was just going to say, I think our case managers have done phenomenal. The numbers look great, but also I think the interventions that we're putting into place are really working effectively, which helps the special ed process.
I think that's a good point, because all the intervention, this is one thing, but
Yep.
actually the outcomes.
Right. Well, and that's what I was trying to say in the beginning, is that our philosophy and what we want for our students, that's the most important piece to us. The fiscal responsibility and the cost obviously is important, and that is a huge piece, and we keep that in mind always as well. But really, the culture and the community that exists here and the programs that we build are really special. So that's why I wanted to highlight that piece first.
Yeah, the special education staff in this district is fantastic.
Any other comments or questions? I echo the sentiments. Thank you for
thank you.
sharing all of it.
Of course.
It's definitely informative and helpful. Okay, not so fun discussion. The default budget implications. So, as we know, the operating budget that we asked the town to support this year was not passed. So, because we have SB2, that puts us into our default budget, which means We had budgeted for things above last year's budget to the tune of about 400,000. So I asked Gina if she can kind of walk us through what the implications of that are going to look like.
Absolutely. So it's a default number, which just is a bottom line number. It doesn't, the default doesn't necessarily identify what we are allowed to or not allowed to spend the money on. The default is defined in terms of what like what do you have to start with, what can you add, what can you subtract. But some of those are not applicable anymore, even though it's part of the default. And then there are some new items that we need or prioritize, et cetera. So I've developed a list of cuts. As you know, as we built the budget, it was pretty bare bones budget. With the tax cap, we're limited to the total dollar amount on the warrant, and so we knew that we had 2 contracts on the warrant, and so that's where our priorities were in terms of our asks. So we are very thankful for the community for supporting both the teacher contract and the support staff contract, and so now we're going to look at our budget and figure out, where are we going to find that roughly $400,000. So I am recommending that we cut the vision benefits to RMS and CSDA. I am recommending that we cut the interactive flat panels for RMS and for CSDA. Those can be delayed. I'm recommending that we cut the emergency lighting replacement at CSDA and RMS. The lights are working. Some of them, can be replaced one at a time if need be. We were also hoping to switch to LEDs, but we can delay that. I'm looking to also cut/delay the privacy curtain for the nurse's office. Unfortunately, I really had no choice but to recommend cutting the replacement of the Milford Street side of RMS, the roof. This has been brought forward and cut from the budget probably the last 4 or 5 years. But there was no way we could get to 400,000 without removing them. I'm also recommending that we cut the seal coating of the parking lot here at RMS. The floor machine at CSDA, they're both at end of life, but RMS is a little bit larger of a building, so the bigger need is here. So I did keep the floor machine at RMS, and my thought was we could have 2 end-of-life machines at CSDA, and hopefully one of them would work. Cutting phase 5 of the door replacement at CSDA, so we can simply delay that. And this is where it gets really tough. On a budget of our size, there wasn't a lot of wiggle room, and so I really had no choice but to look at staffing. So unfortunately, I am recommending cutting the MTSS interventionist that we have split between RMS and CSDA. So as Dan just mentioned, we do such a great job with our interventions that we're delaying special ed costs or special ed identifications. But I can't support that position next year. I'm also recommending that we cut a full-time classroom teacher at RMS. And then finally, I am looking to reduce a special ed case manager at RMS to half-time. So that would remove benefits in addition to half the salary. So that's, and so these are plus or minus, they're not exact dollar amounts, but this totals $407,800. But like I said, when you throw in actual salaries, et cetera, it's a little bit of a different number. But so that's how I got to 400,000. Was not easy, but those were some of the decisions. I can share with you that, in terms of the technology, it was really difficult to try to make the decision as to whether or not I cut the access points at CSDA, because those are end of life in the fall, and so we do rely on having internet access. And so that would really potentially interrupt instruction across the entire building. So I didn't want to go there. If I cut the Chromebooks, it's a replacement cycle. So then the following year I would have to spend twice as much, and that's that much more challenging for the budget.
To clarify on that,
Yeah.
is replacing is that like a required by law because the firewalls or whatever go out of date? Just
Yeah, so the Chromebooks are on a 4 to 5 year replacement cycle. the Chromebooks themselves have an end of life.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
some of them become inoperable. Some of them, they also can't update anymore. So,
Okay, I just
yeah.
wasn't sure if there
So
was
then we
like
lose
that
protections in
security
terms of,
thing
yeah.
or that.
Yeah.
Quick question, in terms of the roof, and I guess the door phase, do we have a safety concern there? Like, is the roof sound at least? Or
So,
we're not worried
it has
about
been leaking.
What?
It has been leaking, so we're gonna offer swimming as a new special. No, no. So, we repair it as necessary. We are a little bit strapped with the decision by the voters to not allow us to retain any funds, because that retained fund that we have always been able to do would allow us to do an emergency replacement, have a public hearing and spend those funds. We can't do that anymore. What I will come to you next month is a request from our business administrator for the permission to spend any potential remaining funds of FY '26, up to X number of dollars for very specific purposes. Because we are allowed to spend down the FY '26 funds, we just can't retain any. So if we end up with more than zero, which we're at about zero right now, but if funds are released and we find that we have more than zero, you have the ability to authorize us to move forward with the roof with the surplus funds. And so I know there was some concern also about the privacy curtain for the nurse's office. That could also be part of the list of, if we find that there are funds left over in June, that authority would allow us to move forward in the summer with those funds.
Sorry, is that like a confidentiality issue? Like, are we violating, like, without the privacy curtains? Okay. I just want to make sure, because if we are, that's.
And I would say, can I say this?
Go ahead.
I mean, we have a private space in there too, like there's a bathroom too, so if there's,
Okay.
but we also have other barriers, but.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're like protecting student confidentiality,
Yep.
and kids are very sharing individuals, so just want to make sure that we're not violating anyone's like.
And to clarify, it's not just an actual fabric curtain, there's more.
It's
than-
structural.
It is a structural, a bar that needs to be installed right and whatnot,
And
yeah.
fire resistant,
That's why it's $2,500.
fire resistant curtain that comes
Yeah.
down.
It comes with a sprinkler too.
Does, I mean, because it's on the Milford Street side, no. So, going back to the roof though, because I know we've had a lot of conversations about this Milford Street roof, because we as a board don't like you getting up on the roof and fixing said roof, Dan. And we appreciate you maintaining it as you could. So, you may or may not know the answer to this, but if it's been leaking this whole time, we were planning on doing it this year. What type of water damage are we looking at presently? And if we don't have any funds to be able to repair it, just like if we didn't repair a roof in our house, we're gonna start running into water. Are we at that point yet of like water concerns and like rot and anything? Like, where are we at with the roof in that sense? Because we've been kicking it down the road, and we wouldn't kick it if we weren't like, hard stop, we need to fix it. So realistically, I mean, you've been up there. I mean, what are we looking at in
Actually,
terms
good.
of like,
So
how
the
much
only-
more room do we really have?
So I would say, on the Milford Street side, where we've had leaks, the good thing that we've had is we have these things called ice shields, they're the gray aluminum-looking sheets, and that's helped with the snow load and like with the recession of the snow when it melts, like going back, so you don't get leaking. We also have ice, what's called ice and water shield, so it goes up about 6 feet high. That's another barrier. But when I've been up there repairing, I have not seen rot underneath the shingles. But when a roof does get replaced, that is an added cost. Like, usually you don't see rot throughout the building with the plywood, but they will replace as they go. The only rot that you will find is the adjoining wall that goes from the roof to the wall, and then there's another section of the roof. That adjacent wall, the clapboards there, potentially where the trim is, could have rot because of the
Okay.
snow buildup. The snow, that's where you're gonna have more rot, is along the siding of the walls there.
Okay, we're not concerned yet about under the shingles. And,
No, but
okay.
you're gonna get more of that, because every year
Well, yeah.
you wait on it, the tabs get wider and wider,
Well,
and then the nails pop up, and then So,
That's kind of why I'm bringing it up, because like,
oh, sorry.
well, that's kind of why I'm bringing it up, is because we kick it down the road, and anytime, like at home, we identify a need of something to fix, we're kind of like, keep an eye on it, and I feel like we've been keeping an eye on it, so I was trying to gauge how much longer we can keep an eye on it before we're like, yo, we need to fix this.
And it's also hard because we have an attic, so the attic space, I don't know what's going on up there, so.
Right,
So
fair.
I was
Sorry.
gonna ask, I know you are a man of many skills, my friend. Have we had a professional look at it though in the last? Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
That's
so-
all I wanted
Multiple
to know.
times.
Yeah, we've had multiple
That's-
quotes on
Yeah.
the
Okay,
roof and
awesome.
such, and
I mean, you had some good feedback there. That was impressive. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I probably should have led with the fact that I kind of knew just from our conversations and pickup line that he's had people out to look at the roof, so I probably should have led with that, with like, what have the professionals said, because I'm just picking his brain because I know he's the one that talks to
So
him.
and as recent as this week, we've had someone look at the roof.
Okay.
So, every time we review our capital improvement plan, anything that's coming closer to, we got to do this sooner rather than later, we do have outside professionals give us estimates and recommendations.
I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah.
I've only been on board 1 year, and we've talked about Dan being up there multiple times.
Yeah.
To be
No,
fair,
it's
so Dan, your family owns a roofing
yeah, I
company.
used to be a roofer.
Also, by the way,
I'm like,
he is a man of many talents.
Yeah.
I still do it. I still, yeah.
I'm not.
Once in a while.
He just likes knowledge I did not have.
Sometimes, sometimes in a Blue Jay costume.
My dad still roofs.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
but anyway,
Thank
just
you.
another piece to remind you of. We didn't cut it last year. It was in the maintenance trust, but last year the maintenance trust was amended to 300,000 at the deliberative session. We had requested 360. So this was an item that we couldn't fund with the smaller maintenance trust. But like I said, if we come to a point where we have more than $0, I will be looking for support to potentially spend down those funds for the roof specifically and some other items if you feel that that's a good use.
So this is gonna go over not great, and I'm aware of that, but I do want to bring up the fact that like our MMS does not have a sprinkler system, right? And we had a fire a couple weeks ago, so that's a concern. I know that like I am curious if we could just get more information. I know it would cost a lot because it's an old building. I'm not advocating for doing that right away, but I am concerned
Yep.
that even though the fire took place in rooms that had like fire vault, like the fact that we don't have a sprinkler system, it is concerning. So I was going to ask Eugene if it's possible to at least just get more information on what it might look like.
We absolutely can do that. I will share with you that one huge concern is the lack of water at RMMS.
Okay.
However, we just, not just, it's probably 5 years ago now, added sprinklers at Halls Primary School, which is of similar age. So
I would just be
we
curious.
can easily,
Yeah, I would just
let
be
you know.
curious and see just like, I think that just kind of hit home for me that like, all right, what if that had been worse or if it, I mean,
Yep.
everyone, like it was very well managed, but yeah, I just would like to, aside from our natural sprinkler system on the Milford wing, it's like they're, with the roof leaking, but I just think we should probably get some more information.
absolutely.
What do you mean by the lack of water?
We don't have a whole lot of water available here at RMMS.
Do you have a well?
Yes.
But, yeah, but do we run out?
So when, it's a really good question. When, we have a beautiful ball field that we cannot water the field despite the fact that there's sprinklers because then we don't have water for our building. And so I know that there's concern that we're not maintaining the field, but that is not a requirement, but we are required to provide an adequate education, including running water for students. So it's certainly alleviated when we're not running sprinklers
I will
for
say,
the
having
field.
been here volunteering in a classroom at a time when everyone then needed to go to the bathroom, the water disappeared. Like everyone went to the bathroom at the same time, and
Yeah,
there was like
like
no
when
water.
we did the reunification drill to the States Complex, that would be an example.
Yeah, the teacher was literally like, all right, here's some bottled water to have them all wash their hands. So it is a problem.
Okay.
But would
Yeah, that's why we have it. Yeah.
would a fire suppression system have tanks, though, that are already pre-filled?
It depends on how you build it.
It does, okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, that's my initial concern, but depending on the design. I'm sure that would be taking into consideration the fact that there isn't a whole lot of water. We can certainly have someone come out and let us know what that would look like,
Yeah,
cost-wise.
I'm not like looking to spend more money, but
Yep.
I do think that's something that we as a board should.
Yeah,
consider.
and just to, so that everyone knows, this building is older. It's grandfathered in to not needing a sprinkler system. If we start doing renovations up to a certain point, all of that goes away, and then we're required to sprinkler, which is exactly what took place at Halls Primary School. There was no choice but to sprinkler.
Like I said, I think it's just hitting home for all
Sure.
of us, especially as parents, and then the parents in the community, that like when you find out at town meeting that the school is on fire, and then you think about the fact that there's no sprinkler system, like, just what if that happened while the kids were here? I mean, you know.
Absolutely.
I know they'd clear, like, I just think that would be, thank you.
Absolutely.
They
Yeah.
would've got there with them.
Yeah. With a fire blanket and like thrown it.
So if there's no other questions, or, I'd just like to say a couple things. We do a lot of paying, robbing Peter to pay Paul, it feels like. These are things that are so needed and that we have no other recourse except to cut. And the other things that you mentioned, there are reasons to not cut them. But on a $500,000 house, which is probably low for us, a $400,000 cut in our budget is roughly $150 to $200 per household. I know taxpayers are feeling it. We are taxpayers here. We feel it when our taxes increase. But that feels like a very, very minimal amount over the course of a year that is gone, that is forcing us now to lose 2.5 positions. Especially just hearing about how the interventions that we've been doing have been not only wonderful for our children, but cost savings. We just talked about the fire because we've kicked that down the road. We've just talked because we've kicked, facilities down the road with the boilers. The roof, I'm not sure if it's the roof on the Milford Street side, but there was a really big 1 or 2 floods. And so to Allison's point about damage, mold, like all of those things. I am so grateful that the teachers' contracts passed and that the support staff contracts passed, because I think the community really realized that we have to invest, and so we're investing in people, but we're not investing in other things. And I just want everyone to think about the long term. And I'm just, this is really hard for me. It makes me very, it makes me very sad. It makes me very upset. $200 would be great, right? It's probably a couple days worth of groceries at this point. But I just would love for more people to understand that this isn't us doing this. This is, we present a budget that is as bare boned as possible to get it to pass. There hasn't been a budget, an operating budget for the schools that hasn't passed in at least the last 20 years, from my research. And so I think that just shows the commitment that this town has had to public education, and what people are feeling right now is true and real and palpable, but that can't be taken out on the schools when we have no control over our revenue and our aid. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
I mean, I think it is very difficult to look at that and see that there's staff positions on there. So, that is just very difficult. And I think as a board, we all feel badly that is and at the same time, this is what the voters chose. So I think to that point, we also, as a board, just are going to need to try and figure it out as positively as we can, and hope that next year we're able to kind of see like, oh, demonstrate why things were needed, it is hard to watch staff have to go.
Thank you, appreciate that. Anything else? All right, revenue and expense, report, please.
Okay, so, let's see. Our first revenue expense report showed an estimation of, I don't know, 414,000 in the negative. We were at about 245,000 in the negative in January, and we are up to 3,000 in the negative right now.
That's good.
So, no, we're going
No,
in the
right direction, right direction. Yeah, this is good. I'm like, look at what revenue's like.
Right,
Yeah, so just sharing a couple of things. Under regular education, we're seeing a positive balance, and that's due to hiring savings. So hiring teachers earlier on in their career. Also, lane changes that the teachers didn't follow through on. So they let us know, I think I'm going to move to master's, or I think I'm going to move to master's plus 15, but then they didn't complete the coursework or didn't complete the paperwork. So at this point in the year, we've now released those funds. Also, we did not hire the recess monitor at CSDA. That was part of the budget. Early on, the budget was frozen because we were so far in the negative that we held off on that hire. And as a result, we have a positive balance there. Looking at special education line, we're 415,000 in the negative. That's due to both contracted pairs that we've talked about time and time again, but also in that line is our contracted school psych. So this is potentially confusing. We have in the line down a positive 55,956 because we didn't hire a school psych. So when we hire them, they're in one line, but when we contract them, they're in the other. So we've had to pay far more than what we budgeted for the position. But the contracting comes out of the line above. So that negative 415 is mostly paraeducators, but also the contracted school psych. Everything else is pretty level, not too many shifts or changes there. A little bit of extra revenue, more so than expected, which is always nice. So our expense balance is in the negative 82,689. Our revenue is in the positive 79,424. And then we're looking at an unreserved fund balance of negative 3,265. At this point, we're looking at this, week to week, releasing funds when possible. And so I definitely expect this to grow. And as I mentioned, I'll be coming forward next month with a memo from our business administrator looking to see if you have any interest in using any possible available funding that remains to make, an investment in the roof.
Are we optimistic next year with the support staff contract that this number, this 415 in the negative, will be not?
I am very optimistic. No, I'm very optimistic. No, and I think that honestly, the fact that we were able to hire 2 paraeducators even now, and we're going to be releasing 2 contractors, that's going to help these numbers next month. More Medicaid revenue is going to come in, that'll help this month. So there are some pieces that are going to be moving, as Gina said, in the next month. But I am very hopeful that the contract will help us, because we're even doing better now, and I think that it'll be even better in the fall.
That'll be great for continuity.
Yes.
So if we are not able to, do we still, how, that's still 415,000, still a pretty big number, even with releasing funds. If we get to June and we're finding that we don't have enough to cover it, what are the options?
We don't have enough cover for what?
For the special education line.
So it's not just that line. So you look at the totals. So if you look at the totals that Gina just talked about, you look at everything all together, and then that number at the bottom, that 3,000, is what our deficit is for right now. And so there's going to be some moving parts to that for the overall piece that'll make that not negative 3,000. Hopefully positive 3,000.
I just know that we had talked too, though, a little bit about, if needed, the special education fund is, so what is the process if we do have to use, the special education fund? I'm not hoping we will.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to need to, but.
So, need to is a good question. We absolutely you could choose as a board to say, we would like to, because these are unanticipated special ed costs, we would have to hold, notice a public hearing, hold a public hearing, and then utilize a certain number of those funds. We don't have to, but you could choose to, allowing you to have a greater unreserved fund balance in the end. I'm confident that as we release money from contracted pairs, we're going to see that number become positive. Another thing to think about is, while we cannot have a retained fund balance from here on out, we have one right now. So we also, you guys retained money in September, or whenever, August or September, whenever you voted. So there's about 185,000 that was retained for unexpected emergencies. We could also hold a public hearing to utilize those funds for something like the roof. For the longest time this year, we thought we were gonna have to hold a public hearing just so we could get to zero.
What was
That
that?
is shocking.
Oh, I was like, what was that?
So, like I said, give me a month, and then we'll have numbers that are updated by a month and some possible recommendations on how to move forward. If we do nothing with that 185,000, then that will lapse and go back to the taxpayers. But we are able, legally with everything that has been passed, to spend down any FY26 funds.
I think from my point of view, I just want to make sure that, like, I mean, we do have some things that need to get done, right? Like the roof, things that are kind of critical. That if special education is kind of pulling out of the budget, would it be worth us looking at taking some money from the special education fund to pay for special education so we could then allocate funds if needed to other things that couldn't be paid? So I guess that's just where my head is that it's like, I don't want to drain that fund. I mean, I don't, but it is also there if we need it, and right now we're facing some pretty tough decisions in terms of the budget. Would it be helpful to at least take some of that and put it towards that, I guess, what I'm thinking.
No, it's a good conversation, and we have the April, May, and the June board meeting. If we want to pull from the special ed trust or utilize the retained fund balance, those have to be publicly noticed. So we'll do that. We'll make final decisions on those for the June meeting. But for April and May, we can have those conversations, and I can present a memo with some recommendations, and you can take a closer look at that.
Yeah, I would also like to know just how much is in the special education fund. I don't.
What is it? Is it
It's
200?
290 at this point, 270,
Right.
280.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great,
Ninety.
to give them different scenarios and options, so that we can discuss it as a board.
I think
and have,
that'll
like,
just-
an
yeah.
informed decision.
It'll just give us more information in terms of like when we do have to make the hard decisions about like the roof or things like that we have.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you very much. At this point, because
had one this
I'm now
summer.
way over, I'm gonna
my
close
budget.
public input at 8:27. We didn't have anybody show up, but I did leave it open a little longer than I needed to. All right, last but not least, we have committee updates. I believe or at this point, we're just looking for anything from facilities or from the co-op study. Right? Do we have any?
The co-op study?
Sure. Well, so for facilities, we'll be meeting on April 1st, so that's great that is coming up. The co-op study was a great collection of community members and board members and a facilitator, Gina. We have come to a recommendation after many meetings. I think we have to wait to kind of propose that or wait till our final report is done, but that should be in the next couple months. So I guess it's really more just like, stay tuned.
Yeah, I would say that I believe the thought was to have that report ready for April. So we
Okay.
present it to the board.
That's what I asked is kind of, do we have a timeline on that? So April would be great.
So then once the final report comes in, what are the next steps for the co-op study?
You decide what to do with the recommendation.
I think it depends, yeah.
On what they come back with.
No, but I'm asking, so would we then have a conversation about like what our recommendation is based on the study, or like that's what I'm trying to figure out?
Yeah, so you review the report, and then the report will have recommendations, and then you say, I don't agree with them. You can say, okay, let's do this next. You just have a conversation about where you want to go from there based on your beliefs and thoughts and the study.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, moving right along. Wait, that's the wrong paper. Getting moved. Okay, so moving on to deliberations. Yes. Okay.
Did you want to take any time and ask like if people had preferences for committees since we're in the committee section?
No, I'm gonna email you guys, like I said earlier.
Sorry.
I'll email you guys, with the list of
Okay.
committees and stuff. All right, so, the first deliberation is to see what action the board will take regarding teacher nominations. May I get a motion, please?
So moved.
to accept the teacher,
To accept, do I have to read the whole thing? No. yeah,
Okay, no, okay, so moved,
Yeah,
fine.
okay.
Lynn, you seconded? Great, all in favor? All right, excellent. The next one is to see what action the board will take regarding the proposed 26-27 school calendar. We need a motion to approve the 26-27 school calendar as presented.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you. Give me a second. Excellent. All in favor? Thank you. Next, we need to see what action the board will take regarding the Educational Assistance Program. We need a motion to approve the SAU 41 Educational Assistance Program as presented.
All motion.
Second? Heather, second? All in favor? Thank you. All right, now we are into policy. Do we want to go through them first before we vote on them? I think,
Give you an overview.
yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while. I also don't like, I have a hard time with approving them and then going over them. I think I'd rather go over them and then approve them. So, yeah.
Okay, we have 6 policies on your agenda today. We did not do a memo because 4 of them are just going to be first reads, but we just didn't want to lose a whole month of moving forward. The first 2 policies, BCA, which is School Board Governance and Operations, and DFA, Fiscal Management. These are 2 policies that you approve annually, and they come up every year at this meeting. So it's just a matter of approving them so that we can put the updated adoption on the list.
Great. Any questions, comments?
I'm sorry, what were the two again?
It's BCA, which is School Board Governance and Operation, Code of Ethics.
Okay, thank you. I was like, that's a
Can we vote on those together? Like, could,
I
or do we
think
have to
the,
make separate motions?
should
or
be
can-
separate motions.
Okay.
And then the other one is DFA, Fiscal Management, and it's about your investment procedures, policy. So the first one is BCA, the Board Member Code of Ethics.
Is there any questions or conversations on that before
Oh,
we take action?
I was just wondering, I know we approve it every year and it's fairly comprehensive. But I was doing a little bit of research and I was just wondering if there are any modernizations that maybe we could make. I know we can't do anything policy here in this meeting, but is it appropriate to ask the policy committee if this one, could be looked at for next year?
Yes, the other thing you can do is approve it, and if you have questions, you can send them to us. We can look at it at the policy and bring it back, and you can reapprove. But it's something you need to have in place moving forward.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you have
no.
a sense of like what you want to add to it?
I think there might be just some language that could be modernized. I think it's a great foundation. I don't think that, that there's anything glaringly wrong or missing. But maybe just modernizing some of it.
So if you want to send it to
I was
us,
gonna
we
say,
can look at it.
because we'll also
Yeah.
have to, I mean, some of it, like, we can't, like, I don't know if this is one of those policies where, like, there's RSAs that we can't
There are RSAs.
change, yeah, so,
So we
yeah.
would look at that.
Probably email it to what Dot and Emmy, the
Mhm.
language.
And Emmy.
Yeah.
All right, so then, in that case, just for this evening, since we need this in place to move forward, can I get a motion that the, actually, I will make a motion that the board, by roll call, state their agreement to adhere to policy BCA, Board Member Code of Ethics. May I get a second? Excellent. So I will start. Allison, aye.
Johanna, I.
Lynn, I.
Tracy, I.
Heather, I.
Excellent, thank you. Do you want to talk about DFA, or did you, because you touched on it, are we good?
I'm good.
Do you have any questions about DFA, since we just talked about BCA?
Well,
Okay.
I guess you need money to invest in it.
I know, right?
I mean, I know that much about accounting and finance.
So I will make a motion for this one too, to adopt policy DFA investment. May I get a second? Thank you, Heather. All in favor? Excellent. All right.
Okay, and so the next 4, we're just bringing forward to you for a first read. We have a policy meeting on the books for April 13th. And so if you have any information that you'd like us to look at or suggestions that you'd like us to consider, if you send those to me and Emmy, to Emmy and I before then, we'll bring them up at the meeting and then we'll bring it back for a second read at your next meeting.
I'm also gonna ask that if you could send it to me and Lynn as well, or at least me, like, email us separately, so if there's a quorum issue, but that helps us know, like, and just email us, like, with what your thoughts are. Because when we're in the meeting, we're trying to give them a sense of, like, what the board is, so that would help us understand, like, what the sense of the board is, so if you could just, hey, I'm proposing this language and this is why, that would be fantastic.
And I'll go through each of them.
To you and Dot.
No, to Lynn and I are the board. So if you just do, I think if there's just two of us, they can you email? Okay, so you can email it to Lynn, me, Dot, and Emmy, so 4 people. And if you can just put us all in the same email.
Would that be considered a
That's a
quorum?
quorum.
Is it though?
It'd
Because
be 3, because 3 board members would be on the email.
who else is
No.
It's Dot, Johanna, Lynn.
And
If
Well,
one
then
of
you should
us,
see
if one of us.
Oh, okay,
are
well,
on-
so then you'd have to email the board, you would have to email Lynn and I separately, but it's hard for us to kind of remember, so, yeah, if you're, I mean, you could just copy paste, but just having, so
Yes.
Dot,
Gonna be
Hang on. Can we just send it just for clarity's sake tonight? Let's just send them to
Send
Dot
it to
and
us,
Emmy,
and then we
Dot
can send them to the
forward it
board.
to you
That would
two.
be great.
Let's just do it that way, that's cleaner.
that's fine. I just
Yeah.
wanna have a look at it before, so I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Not a problem.
All right, and so the first policy is BEDB, which is a recommended policy, but one that the superintendent would like us to consider, and it's around moving to a consent agenda. Which means that when we get individual letters, they wouldn't all be read out individually. If we're making group, like a list of decisions that have to be done, they would all be listed, but all the backup material wouldn't necessarily be read. It would be available, but not read out loud, so.
Gina, can you give us an example of like what would fall under that policy?
Resignations, retirements, nominations. So rather than, so it gets complicated in hiring season. This year we don't have any hires, but when we're going through a list of them and then we're going through all the backgrounds and their individual motions, when we're reading a list of resignations or retirements, the letters that are shared. So this is an effort for efficiency this is how most districts operate. Here so the list is public. We'd see all the resignations, all the retirements, and all of the nominations with their steps and salaries and placement, et cetera. I would have all the backup materials. If you had any questions, I could share that. But it just allows us to move more efficiently through. The co-op has adopted it for first read, and in their April 8th meeting, we'll be piloting that to see what that looks like.
So, but we would still be able to see, like, I just know that sometimes things are included in the letters that they feel that the board should know, like when someone is writing a letter and they feel that, so would we, if we wanted to see.
Should have all the backup, yeah,
Yeah, we
available.
can still see it, we just wouldn't read it.
Correct.
Any other questions? Okay, may I get a motion to accept the first reading of policy as amended?
I make a motion to accept the first reading as amended.
Yeah, close enough.
Okay.
Second, Johanna. All in favor? Thank you. All right, policy IJND.
IJND is video and audio recording in school classrooms. Hollis and Co-op have this. Brookline does not have this policy in place, and we need it with some of the changes that came out around the parents' bill and trying to be more specific about when consent is needed and when consent isn't. So for, concerts or school classroom type activities that are happening. And so we need to get it in place for Brookline.
Any questions? All right, may I get a motion to accept the first reading of policy IJND, video and audio recording in school classrooms as presented?
I make a motion to accept as presented.
Can I get a second? Excellent, all in favor? Thank you. EEAA.
AEAA is new for Brookline, and this will be based on what is already available in Co-op and Hollis. And this is to make sure that we have a policy regarding video and audio recordings for things like sports events, music events, but also the fact that we have cameras in our hallways and that we're doing video surveillance.
Any questions?
Is this part of the parents' bill of rights as well?
It's all as a
It's-
result of links
Okay.
into that, yes.
So if there was a challenge to this, like what?
What type of challenge?
Well, that's what I'm at. So like if it, like let's say you're at like a concert or a sport and a parent was like, I don't want video like how would that policy?
So I will share that the parental bill of rights was just amended.
Okay.
And so any public event, graduation, we don't really have sporting events, but a sporting event, something that is open to the public, we do not need parental permission
Okay. So
for
like the
live
third grade
streaming.
concert, that could be.
So if it's open to the public,
Okay.
we can record. This is also including video surveillance that we have for security.
Yeah.
So we post signs, we need to make the public aware, and this is just kind of codifying it in policy that we have video surveillance.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one more, about the bus, because we have video but not audio. Could you, this is wrapped into that, or I know we have, I think, a separate policy. I'm just not quite sure how the bus rolls into
Yeah,
that.
so the bus, which that's something we're gonna do in next fiscal year, is up the bus contract. But that's actually an SAU level function. So there is a specific video recording on the bus policy under the SAU policy group, which is not very large, but that's one of the ones that they have. And the SAU policy committee does have some work to do to convene to review a few policies, but that could be a policy if you care to review that one.
No, I just was wondering, if that fits into these policies, because it says like in classrooms or on school property, and I'm assuming the bus is school property, so.
It's not, but
No,
it's
it's
covered
not.
under the SAU policy.
Ah.
Because the Brookline School District doesn't have a bus or a bus company. You're just one district.
We vendor.
It's a vendor, but
Contract.
we don't, Brookline does not contract, the SAU contracts.
Gotcha, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else with this one? Excellent. May I get a motion to approve the first reading of policy EEAA, video and audio recordings on school property?
So moved.
Is second? Excellent. All in favor? Thank you. And then EEAA-R.
Is new for Hollis and Brookline, and this will set a procedure for, mainly around our security cameras, when they can be reviewed, who can view the material, and how we store that material.
Excellent. Any questions?
I just had one question, and I may not have seen it. Who decides on the deletion? Like the deletion of the videos, like when they're deleted, and where are they stored?
So they're stored on the camera server. So the big factor of deletion is that there's only so much space. So we
it's
just,
just like auto deleted.
yeah, it writes
Okay.
over it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if there's because I'm reading here, so the one where it says under C, viewings or recordings, where the parents, guardians of a student may request to view portions of a recording used as a basis. So how is that being handled? Because if it's just portions per se, but you don't necessarily want them viewing the whole thing, like how are we handling that?
So all the requests come to me.
Okay,
We download a portion of it,
okay,
and we do our best. So the first thing we do is we look to remove all other students or blur them out so no other students are visible.
Okay.
And so the parent request is only viewing their own student in the video.
So if, like, let's say this was like a physical interaction, right? Where like one kid punched another, you would blur out the child even if they were the one doing like and it would just be like, okay, here's your child, you can identify your child, is that, okay. Okay, and then would they view that with you or would they view that with building administration?
They would view that with me unless I authorize the building principal to show the video.
Okay, so you're basically because it just says in the presence of a building administrator, so that's actually you.
Or I authorize.
Or you could, but
Yeah.
okay, but it doesn't say.
So a lot of times the requests come straight to me.
Okay.
And so it just
Yeah,
just
you're-
seems more direct.
Yeah,
But
okay.
sometimes they don't, or sometimes, I'm out of town, so
Yeah.
here, this is what you can show. It's a group effort.
Group effort, okay.
On,
And remember, this is the sample, it's not what our final policy may end up looking like. It's not,
Okay.
it has not been made Brookline unique.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, may I get a motion to accept the first reading of EEAA-R, use of video and audio systems administrative procedure?
So moved.
May I get a second? Excellent. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, last thing on the agenda is our new section. It's the member-initiated comments. It's a non-action. Before we get into this, just want to kind of frame what this section is. So, from time to time, we've had individual board members who have topics that they want to just briefly acknowledge. Sometimes they fall out the scope of items that this board governs. They're not maybe quite ready or appropriate for discussion, or even action. And so we wanted to be able to give a space just for members to be able to speak to an interest in a very just kind of clear, in a clear way that it's not actionable, it's not a discussion. And we're gonna time bound this section. So this section is going to be titled Member-Initiated Comments, Non-Action. Each topic will be limited to 3 minutes. You do need to request them to be on the agenda just like you would any other item. The total time for the section, we're not going to allow to exceed 10 minutes. So as requests come in, Gina and I will kind of take them in the order that they come. This is really just meant to allow brief acknowledgement of topics while keeping our meetings still focused, efficient, and then within our governance roles. So if there's something that one of us brings up that we feel would warrant further discussion or potential action on, then that can be requested to be added to the agenda for the following meeting. Does that make sense? Kind of just gives us a space to start raising.
Round table.
Yeah, we're not, and just, you know, not, again, and if there's something for discussion, like if somebody brings something up that you want to really get into a good discussion on, then we can request that to be on the next month's agenda so we can plan for it better. So, with that, Tracy, I'm gonna give you the floor for 3 minutes because you
geez.
wanted to talk about
I
the
hope
SAU
not.
consolidation.
I hope it's
Or
not
maybe not 3 minutes, but you got
Hopefully
3
not.
minutes, so the floor is yours.
So thank you. I was thinking about the SAU consolidation because it had come up in the news. So I just wanted to say HB 292 was introduced in December 2025 with the purpose of creating a commission to study SAU consolidation. That language has been removed and the bill is no longer related to SAU consolidation. But it has been amended to establish a revolving loan fund for school districts, which it allows districts to borrow against future state aid to address short-term funding needs. But as good as that may sound, it can create additional funding pressure in future budgets. So this bill is still being considered in the current legislative session. And then in parallel, HB 1804 was introduced in January 2026. And this bill took a more comprehensive approach to SAU consolidation. It proposed to reduce the current number of SAUs to approximately 12 regional or county-based units, and to make chief school administrators elected positions. And so this bill has been sent to interim study, and so it's going to be studied and I guess not advancing this session.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And on that, we are then to our last motion that we need for the evening. Does anybody want to do the honors?
Sure. I motion to adjourn.
I will second. All in favor? Excellent. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Those who need to sign, please, manifest signers, please sign.
All right, how do you like having such